Hi there, welcome back to the Dylan Brown's case. This is a small update. You can tell me off in the comment section because technically I shouldn't be making any mystery videos at the moment because I'm supposed to be having a break leading into the new year where I start covering the stuff once again and maybe return back to Kenny Veach. But it's just one of those things where, sometimes can't help it, right? It's just the way I am. But it's an important update in a sense, right? Okay, just to keep the Dylan Rounds case alive, to keep that awareness going, right? That's still important, more important than me having a break, okay? So I just wanted to share this with you on the spot. I guess this is still like a live video premiere format, just because I've done it for so long, might as well keep that going, right? You know, a standard video feels more isolating than if you did a live video premiere where everyone can watch it all at the same time and you can also message the people in the chat, right? So yeah, this is on the Find Dylan Brown's Facebook page. In the background, on the odd day, I did actually take a brief look, right? Couldn't help it. And I noticed there was an update provided by Candice Cooley, okay? I just want to share that with you now. There are some photos attached, but they're not exactly relevant. That's more to do with looking back, at the past with Dylan and family, etc. But just want to look at her post, analyze it possibly, check the comments out, see if there's anything of interest, okay? And, in the live chat, you can share your thoughts and opinions as we go through it. Bear in mind, this could be a very short video, so it might be limited to time, but I just wanted to share this with you, okay? So let's head on over now to the Facebook page and read it out. Okay, so here we are on the Facebook page. We scroll down, you see, post by Candice Cooley, 24th of December. So it's quite recent, to be fair. A couple of days previous, but, being busy because of Christmas, couldn't really get the time to look at it, but might as well read it out to you now. So you see a few pictures attached below. That's more Christmas-related ones, so it's not as relevant. But Candice Cooley says, "We are still fighting for Dylan every day. There are a lot of things moving forwards, and we will release them as soon as we can, but no things are happening." And then it says Dylan finally refused Santa Claus pictures after 16, but we got 16 amazing ones. Okay? So I guess there's some additional photos regarding Dylan in the past if people wanted to know, but he's much younger in the photos, so you can't really do a comparison. I think we'll check the comments out shortly, but the overall tone of this post is very similar to what we've seen the last few occasions, right? Where Candice Cooley is very vague in how she words things, saying that there's stuff going on in the background, that progress is being made, things are going on. And it's like, but what things? What stuff? Now, it must be of some importance, right? Because she's not released it yet. She says she will, which is a positive, yeah. But I'd say, as for, is there a lack of urgency? Is it more patient now? I'd say it's more patient now. Candice Cooley seems a bit more patient, at times a little bit more calm. There's been different phases and transitions of Candice Cooley. You can agree or disagree with me, if you like, in the comment section, right? But what I'd say is, you had the early stages of the case, the early days, and I wasn't really around to see it, but I guess she was kind of quiet at first, right? Working with the police, working with the FBI, the people that were there, local, and so on. And then eventually then reaching out to the YouTubers, okay? But in the early stages, she was, somewhat quiet, at least online. And then the mid part is when she reached out to the YouTubers, where she became more vocal. And with being more vocal, it then transitioned into releasing more information, more about the case, evidence found, the truth, the supposed corruption by the LE and how it's been mishandled and whatnot, right? We saw that, we heard that. And, Candice's reasoning behind it was, well, I need a platform to speak on, to clear up any, miscommunication, any rumours, dispel that, set the truth straight, and also reach out to YouTubers because the other people aren't doing a good enough job. And because of that, she released stuff which maybe the police didn't want her to release. But she was like, well, what have we got to lose? Because the case isn't going anywhere. We need to push the ball, get it rolling once again, right? So in that phase, we probably heard a lot of different information, hence why there was more switching and changing of information, because there was more of it in play, right? Up for grabs, presented, published, released, whatever you want to call it. So with more information and more material, there's more chances of criticisms, mistakes made, and basically switching and changing. Now, we've reached that stage where we've taken a step back, I'd say. The misinformation, the switching and changing of it has kind of decreased because material has, evidence has as well. In the meantime, maybe similar to at the beginning, the quiet phase, the rumours have crept in, right? Making up for that missed material and evidence. People come up with the rumours. People talk about like the planes flying on over, scanning Candice Cooley's house, about Dylan being drunk driving, and all that type of stuff. Okay? And maybe Candice Cooley might step back in once again to clear all that up. There seems to be like a certain pattern, right? Okay? When there's no evidence, key information, rumours are then made up. I mean, the most natural and most understandable thing is during these moments, these phases, that's where people will come up with their own theories and ideas. And that's normal. That's fine. I mean, I guess in the Idaho 4 case, same's happening there in a way. But it's just like when people like purposely make up things, that's when it doesn't really become helpful. If you suggest something that may not be true, that's better than saying in a way of that happened when it didn't. You know what I'm saying? The difference between a theory idea and then trying to turn a rumour into a fact. It gets a bit problematic. So, linking back to Candice Cooley, in this stage, this phase, it's a positive, okay? You could say, well, it's negative, right? There's less information. There's it feels like there's less progression now. It feels too quiet. We're not in on it anymore. We want to follow along, follow the ride, the story, etc. And we're not getting it no more. Well, not at this moment in time. I guess what we've got to take in mind as well is the factors. The event, the weather, that's kind of prevented stuff to an extent. As for searches, kind of limited from external channels when looking out for Dylan, right? I mean, shout out to Lance Kelly, who's still, continued with his videos here and there, and I guess Ty Corbin too, but, like how the whole concept of weather, it can prevent things. It can prevent searches, it can make it more difficult, not as frequent, right, because of the coldness, the terrain environment, icy, the snow, etc. With the US, with their weather and what they've received just recently, it's been pretty rough, right? As for the UK, that's supposedly going to get it in January, delayed. Don't know if it'll be as bad. It'll be somewhat bad, compared to what the UK normally encounters, but probably not to the extent of the US. Leave a comment down below or in the chat to say how you're doing, if you're from there, the US, and is it okay or is it difficult? Just share your thoughts if you want. But yeah, with that in mind, the weather, the events too, Christmas. I mean, previous, you had Thanksgiving, US events, then Christmas, and coming up New Year's Eve. So if you're with family, like within the Dylan Brown's case, different families, doing different things, still, doing it in memory of Dylan, trying to still keep that awareness and everything going in the background. So when you get busy like that, maybe certain things get toned down. But what I would say is linking back to this lack of info, this more vagueness by Candice Cooley, it's a positive in the sense that it seems like there's a bit more control. Maybe control has been brought back. I don't know if everyone would agree with that, or I don't know, people would see that as a positive with Candice Cooley. You know, has Candice Cooley finally got back control of the case? If that was true, do you think that's good or do you think that's bad? I say that because I know there'll be people out there that will be still suspicious of Candice Cooley and wary that if she's got full control, then maybe she might spin it a certain way or change the narrative, you know, like that. But from my own interpretation, there's a big contrast between the mid-section of the case and the last month or two, right? Mid-section of the case was revealing evidence info by what the police found or part of the case, releasing it out by Candice Cooley because she had enough of the LE and the way it was going. So it was, in a way, lack of recklessness. I can't remember if it was told by Candice Cooley or somebody else online, but there was that talk about that the police didn't take Candice Cooley as serious because they were like laughing and joking with her. Well, not with her, at her. That's how Candice Cooley worded it. But then I'm sure people online were saying that the LE were acting and following certain procedures because they didn't trust Candice Cooley because she's reckless or she's got an attitude and she answers back. So, you know, not easy to cooperate with. I think that's how it was worded, right? So, yeah, with Candice Cooley being reckless there, it could have been seen as a negative. But in another way, it was like a plea for help by Candice Cooley, maybe an act of desperation, trying to reach out to certain channels. And maybe ones people don't favour that much, people criticise, like, no thanks. People didn't approve too much of that with Candice Cooley on going on that channel, but not on other people's. And not returning back to the Zav Girl channel or Mob Crew Chris. I think with Zav Girl, because she's moved on to other cases, maybe Candice Cooley doesn't have the same contact level with her compared to with Doug. You know, they're constantly messaging in the background. You're probably more likely for them to reach out to you, right? There's a level of activity ongoing. But yeah, it contrasts, doesn't it, to all that was going on to now. You put aside the weather, you put aside the events, it just seems like there might be some more control. And we can reinforce it in a way just by reading this text and analysing it. Said a bit about we're still fighting for Dylan every day. I mean, it makes sense, it's obvious, you know, that's what they're trying. But the bit where it says, there are a lot of things moving forwards and we will release them as soon as we can. So, you know, you look back to how it's been worded. Things are going on. Things are moving forwards. That's how it's been worded past few weeks, right, or month. To now say a lot of things moving forwards. That's quite interesting, right? It's not specifically saying that one thing has happened, like Dylan has been found, or Brenner's gun has been found, or Don Hately has been brought back in for questioning. It's not a singular thing, right? With it being multiple, it makes you think the end goal has not quite been reached, but there are maybe new leads, new possibilities, new routes, new pieces of evidence, all these smaller pieces of a jigsaw of a puzzle, which when paired all together, create the full picture and can finally, you know, bring some kind of closure. You get what I'm saying? You can leave your own thoughts to what you think. You can guess if you want, because it's kind of a guessing game at this moment in time. The fact that there are a lot of things moving forwards, it could be probably not to do with the LE, but it could be more to do with the drones and the pictures. I still think that plays a part because that is the one thing that has not been talked about since, right? The last time Candice Cooley was quite vocal, not in a negative way, but just in terms of revealing information, would have been when it came to the big push, the supposed big push, right? Apologies if it's a bit boring having the screen on like this instead of showing my face. It's just because I keep referring back to the text so I don't get confused or lost. So apologies about that if you find that boring. Okay. But yeah, as for the big push, remember, just before winter time was coming in and came early, went out there with Mob Crew Chris, the K9 unit, Equisearch, Justin, Candice, all of them out there using the drone. And before that, Heavy D, Diesel Brothers, assisting as well, trying to use it too. And they said they took photos, scanned the area, and said by Justin and also by Candice Cooley indirectly that the photos taken from the drone still need analysing. You remember that? Still need analysing. What's happened since? We don't know. There's not really been much talk on that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've not heard anything since. And because of that, it makes me believe that was still pending, ongoing, which then transitioned in maybe something being found or differing locations revealing something of interest. And that's what then sparked Candice Cooley, the turning point into her going kind of quiet, kind of underground, and becoming more vague and cryptic in a sense, right? If I'm saying this specifically has happened, that's currently going on, this is what we're waiting for, and also this is what we've just found, it's gone to now where it's like, stuff is happening, we're looking at stuff, things are in the process. Yeah. You see how restricted, constricted it's become, right? But it's a positive. You put aside the level of progress, the level of activity, it's a positive in its sense, but it feels like there's a bit more control taken back. Whereas back then, there might have been a lack of proactiveness, a lack of seriousness, not really getting anywhere, hitting dead end, brick walls, and that frustration building. You're like, what are we supposed to do now? Come on, something needs to happen. And that's where that vocalness, that resistance, the retaliation came out of Candice Cooley. And because she doesn't seem as angry now as compared to before, then she's got her own way. Things are going to plan as she wants them to, and that's why she's keeping quiet. In addition, because important stuff has been found and she can't release it, because if she does, it might ruin the case. That type of behaviour. I would understand. It would make sense. Is there anything else to really analyse here? The bit about we will release them as soon as we can. So, it in a way, kind of like being transparent there, saying, if we can, you will get it. We will tell you. How? How exactly? Well, I'd say most likely on... but do you know what? Should I make a prediction? I'm just thinking... I don't think... no, I don't really feel too much at the moment to make a prediction. It would be too loose. All I'll say is I'll actually ask it to you as a poll right now. Do you think this information will be released before the end of the year or after going into the new year of 2023? Feel free to vote right now, okay? I can't really give my opinion at this moment in time because I just can't quite lock on. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to make too many loose predictions because then the accuracy goes and it becomes pointless, right? You got to be realistic. So, yeah, taking that into mind. As for the way it's presented, at least, right? It'll most likely be a video on YouTube. What platform? Well, YouTube. But what channel? It'd probably be either No Thanks, most likely. He'll be at the top of the list. Probably followed by East Idaho News. You remember that? East Idaho News by Ed Eaton? Is it Ed Eaton? Something like that. Candice Cooley did refer back to him, I think, in the last interview on No Thanks channel, praising him, saying he's good, it's relaxed, it's calming, questions are good and stuff. So, she's probably likely to return back to that news channel, if you call it that, at some point. I don't know if that's before or after an interview on No Thanks channel once again. But it will be interesting to see what this information is and all the stuff that's moving forwards, right? Because it's multiple. And if it's multiple, then, all different types of steps, whether it be new suspects, new people being questioned, or just actual piece of evidence found, right? And it could tie back to those drone photos, like I said. So, let's check the comment section. There might not be too much, okay? We just read through, even if it's just glance, okay? So, just saying prayers once again, happy holidays. Mary says, my heart goes out to all of Dylan's family. You're the strongest people. You're especially in my heart during the Christmas season. So happy things are happening for Dylan. Karen says, glad things are moving along and things are happening for the good. Justice for Dylan. Praying for you and your family. So, people are also highlighting it themselves. Dylan's whole family are in my thoughts until he's brought home. Tammy says, Merry Christmas, Candice Cooley and family. Thank you for sharing the pics. Dylan's story was the very first story I stated watching in May. Never did I think it would be this long to bring this boy home. My prayers with you and your family. Not a day goes by. Don't check to see any of the news. Justin for Dylan. Again. So, people in the chat right now, do you feel that the Dylan Rounds case has gone on for so long? It's dragged on? Or just in general, do you feel like it's been a really long time whilst you've been present? Some of you that might have been involved at the start and may have left and returned back. Do you get that feeling of, wow, it's been some time? I can't really comment myself because, with the Kenny Veach mystery, I covered that for 2 years. Not as relentlessly as the Dylan Rounds case. I wasn't doing it every single day, as you know. So that plays a factor in itself. But for 2 years covering a case that seemed somewhat normal to me. But then when I looked back on it, I thought, damn, that's long. But then when I think of the Dylan Rounds case, I feel that's equally as long. And you think, well, how can 4 or 5 months be the same as 2 years? On top of that, the additional 7, on top of the additional 5-6 years going onwards from the past of when Kenny went missing. I think it's just because making up for the lack of proportion of ratio, the time put in terms of covering the case balances it out by doing it every single day. Okay, that's why it feels as long. But I don't think it's been a complete disaster, right? In terms of my opinion, with a case being somewhat long, it allows, especially if there's not rapid progression made every single second, every single week. Well, that's a very good thing. If you're trying to get involved or you're trying to make sense of the case, if it's long, if it's dragged out, it provides a catch up. It allows people to look at it themselves. It allows people to look at alternative theories, ideas, pathways, right? Okay, you don't feel you're left behind as much. You're able to catch up in between those quiet periods, I would say. So there are kind of positives to it for if you're just a viewer, if you're trying to get involved in a case, right? Jean says, so thankful for the update. Yeah. If we can do anything, please let us know. Okay. That's this one. Tina, thank you so much for the update. However, I love to hear from you. Wondering with winter season, Christmas time, is stuff happening for Dylan? And here's my answer. I need to hear for Christmas. I will be completely alone all Christmas season, however. My heart is Dylan. Okay. Yeah. I thought that was by Candice. What is it? Candice, you and Justin Rounds had the most. Yeah. Prayers. Yeah. What's this? I love your memories with Dylan. Telling you exactly what was going on. Our world is so full of terrible people and their actions, right? Okay. So, I think Merry Christmas, Candice Cooley. I certainly had hoped for a different outcome by now. Sending prayers. I have had something made, but I have been hospitalised with that. Still trying to get strength back. Yeah, as for people becoming ill, seems to be in a bit of a pattern, I guess, right? I don't know if people agree in the chat. I don't know if it's certain countries or just the time in the season and things going on. You've got other countries, was it China or something, where they're struggling there with, what? But then I guess people in the UK, there are some illnesses going on there as well. Getting the flu or some kind of illness, and then there was like another illness as well. I can't remember the name of it, which was affecting like children, and it was recent as well. And there's like 8 people dead. I don't know if it's still going. Not really heard about it, but whatever that was, it was something completely different, right? But then, like, just even on a global scale, a smaller sample when on YouTube and people that watch my videos, how with time, not just right now, but over a certain course where people have become ill, inactive, gone away, and then returned back and said they've recovered from whatever, that type of stuff. What's a good example? You remember Rhonda? Let me know if you remember Rhonda. She said at one point that she had a punctured lung, and then that's the last I heard from her. And she responded, I guess, in the community tab section once. Yeah. When I said, are you still there? And she said, I've got a punctured lung, or I had a punctured lung, but they've not said anything since, so I don't know what's gone on there. You had not Tammy, sorry, I'm thinking of someone else. Cuppy. You had Cuppy, who was ill for some time, and she said she was in hospital as well for quite a while. And recently she said she's recovered, or she's returned back home, just sleeping it off or something. I don't know if she's currently present here right now. And the most recent, you had like Joseph, who had the flu or was feeling quite rough. And then most recent, you had, who was it now? Famous up, really, really high temperature and in pain, not able to move or something. But that's eased off as well. So it's kind of interesting, but also like serious what's happened. I don't know if anyone else is ill at the moment or not. I'm not. I'm okay. But yeah, let's just return back to this. What's this? Dear Candice and family, out Australia. Let's bring home Dylan. Yeah. Thanks for sharing the info. Yep. It's good to hear things are happening. I think of him and your family every day. I pray next year you have all the answers you need. When you say next year, it sounds like forever, but no, it's not, because it's coming up to New Year's Eve, right? Oh, who's Juanita Cooley? Thinking of your family and praying during this time. It must be just like a family member. Thank you so much. Replies. Let me know in the chat, who is Juanita Cooley Hutchinson? Is that a Cooley family member, or is that just someone completely different? Nice to know. I figured things were moving forwards. We never stopped thinking of him. Praying for you all. Merry Christmas. And he will soon be home with you. Heartbreaks. Thank you so much for these updates you bring us. I know it's not easy. I wish for some healing for you and your loved ones. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Yeah. Okay, so it's pretty much the same. What's this? Dylan will be coming home. Dylan, as God cradles you in his arms, we cradle you in the hearts. Patricia says, I know you have heard this many times, but I have to say you're a strong mum, and I pray for you. So I'm glad things are moving forwards. To rest. You, Justin, and your families have been on my mind a lot. I'm happy things are moving forwards, bringing all of you so much needed peace and hope this season. I mean, it must bring some form of peace to Candice Cooley, because as I said, with that observation made earlier in this video, she's not been complaining as much, right? She's not been as vocal, as verbal compared to previous times. So there's been some kind of positive at least, or if people want to come up with their own ideas, you can down below. What's this? Media. Oh, I don't know what it is. I can't begin to imagine how difficult this Christmas will be without Dylan by your side. I prayed that Dylan would have been found and brought home by Christmas. I'm happy to hear that these things are going done. You can't shit. What's this? Hear that there are things going done, even if you can't share them with us. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. That was by Lisa. But I said, Candice said she'll release them at some point. There's a lot of comments on this one, to be fair. Elizabeth says, Candice and family, hope and pray. Come true. That's got to be it, right? Yeah, wow, that took some time. If you don't know why I looked through the comments, I just did that just in case we found anything of interest, or like it was someone like maybe watching the videos on YouTube who's also a member on this page, just like a brief shout out, you get me? And last but not least, I'll just share this with you in case you haven't seen it. This was 7th of December, so kind of old now. Shared by Yaz Girlson, who played quite a part in the early days of the Dylan Brown's case, and when I started looking into it, like sharing those posters and distributing it. I think she also created stuff as well, didn't she? But this is posted for Dylan's grandma, Denise Cooley. Dylan's grandmother, Denise. I'm having a bit of a brain freeze. Not literally a brain freeze. My brain is freezing for a second because I got a little bit confused then. Denise Cooley. I've heard of that name before, but I thought the grandmother was called Karen. Oh, no, that's Karen Rounds. This is Denise Cooley. Oh, yeah, because of, divorce and all that, I assume, right? Forget that. It was a malfunction by me, right? Okay. I am human. I'm not a robot. Anyway, it says, the Cooley and Rounds family continue to be amazed at the kindness and compassion that has been extended to us from a simple phone call, a caring hug, a smile, a heartfelt letter, and so many other things too numerous to mention. We gain strength from each and every one of you. Tonight we will sleep surrounded with love, knowing the heart full of love for Dylan. We went into every stitch of these beautiful quilts. Thank you, Cindy. As always, we'll leave the porch light on for you, and then that's just that. I just wanted to share that with you because that's the only other thing that was kind of recent. And I'll see with Denise Cooley. Leave your thoughts down below. Do you know much about Denise Cooley? Has Denise Cooley played a big part in this case? I mean, just how it's worded, Dylan's grandma. I mean, if you looked at that for the first time, you'd think, what? Dylan's grandma's Denise Cooley? So who was that on the phone? Who was Karen Rounds? Is that somebody else? You know what I'm saying? Different grandmas, but still associated with Dylan. Leave your thoughts down below, okay? Okay, so hopefully you found that somewhat of use, somewhat helpful to you. You can share your thoughts down below, your opinions. Do you truly think that there is progression going on behind the scenes? And do you think whatever is happening with all the stuff going on is serious for it to be so quiet at this moment in time? And also, do you think it will happen? Will it be released at the end of 2022 or following into 2023, right? Leave your thoughts down below. Hopefully you had enough time to chat as well in the live chat. I didn't want the video to be too dragged out, but also I wanted there to be some sufficient time for people to be able to talk and share their own thoughts and opinions, because whilst I might have been away and technically still am from this case at this moment in time, some people will still be looking at it and keeping up to date with it. So share your thoughts, any additional points, feel free. As for a potential other Dylan Rounds video that needs to be done, which supposedly has not been talked about much at all, which supposedly not many people have done because either they don't want to or they can't. The odd person or so unable to because they may get in danger. I mean, I don't know to like what extent, but just awaiting certain information to be able to present it to you, I guess. Okay. And I'll probably do that when it gets to January, right? Once it's time for people to respond back and know what to say and what not to say in that sense, right? But more of that at a later point, okay? I still need to offload some videos in between, right? Unrelated ones for storage related reasons, okay? So we don't just stop there. But yeah, I can't really say too much because what you see is what you see in that post by Candice Cooley. But I guess what we can agree with is there's been a change in behaviour from quiet to quite verbal and expressive to quiet once again. So that must be a positive in the eyes of Candice Cooley. Still, the LE are quiet. I don't know if they'll step back in. Do you think that maybe in the future the LE, when involved in another case, do you think they'll mess it up again? Or will they put more care and effort in? Was it a one-off, or is this going to be a regular occurrence? Leave your thoughts down below. I guess the only other thing to highlight is what we've seen recently is a small influx in more independent YouTube channels. Not exactly new channels, but people just coming on in to actually cover the Dylan Brown's case as like a one-piece video telling the story. You know what I'm saying? Previously, you didn't exactly get that. It was just basically covering the ongoing current topic, current theme, current issue, and that was about it, right? But I think once you get to a certain point in a case, right, and this is where it ties in with what I was saying, where it might get to a pause, a halt, where it feels like it's gone quiet or people don't know what's going to happen next. You start thinking, you start guessing, you start coming up with your own ideas. And because of that, it allows other people to catch up, as said. And, you can piece together everything that's happened so far, up to now, if you're covering it for the first time, and bulk it into one video. And that's what people have done. I don't know the exact channel names, but if you go on YouTube and type in Dylan Rounds, you look back the last month or the last few weeks, it will show up. And it's interesting to see because if other people get involved, they might provide a different point of view, different perspective, right? Aside from the normal ones that go on and stuff. So that seems okay. I mean, really, is there anything else to talk about? I think there's still like talks of, the back and forth between Jim Terry and Salty Pancakes. That's still ongoing. As for the Shack lady, she's been, popping in here and there onto some of my videos, leaving comments, and the last one saying Merry Christmas, so Merry Christmas to them as well. Well, late Merry Christmas to them, and leading into Happy New Year, okay? We'll see what happens next. As for drama, that can always be present, right? Maybe it's more elsewhere than other places, but we'll just see how things go. As for Pancakes, just brief talk about him for a second. I'll just try and find him. Okay, Mr. Pancakes. Mr. Pancakes, come on. Come into the chat, Mr. Pancakes. Okay. Can't quite fit him into frame. Bit soggy. Oh, sure I felt wetness on my face then. What have you been doing? Dry yourself up. Okay. I can't remember Pancake's real name, but that doesn't matter. It's easier to just call him Pancakes, to be honest. Just like a quick, easy reference point. Jim Terry, JT, Mr. X. Just key names, keywords, which is useful when you're referring back to people. But as some of you may know, Pancakes did have another mini meltdown in one of my previous videos. I can't remember why now. It was to do with Kurt's backhoe. What I would say is there's a little bit, well, could you say there's a bit of a pattern? Not from my experience, because I've not seen enough, but it's kind of a coincidence how when talking about Kurt Wadsworth, Pancakes came in with a little bit of resistance. Not the level of resistance, i.e. defending Kurt, but just simply writing it off. the video saying, oh, it's pointless this, or, oh, don't you think it's not been done already enough? Don't you not think it's like already been erased, cleansed, or cleared up? It's all been explained, it's all been debunked, or the police have been everywhere and solved it all there. And it's like, there's no harm in checking back, right? I mean, if people can check back places that have been searched without too much resistance, then I'm sure you can look back, i.e. on certain articles and certain reports. Look back at them too. No harm, not causing any trouble. I guess maybe to some people, they'll be complaining, maybe Pancakes was thinking, oh, you're just covering that again or going back to something that's already been cleared up because you're running out of content. But then if that was the case, if that's what he was thinking, then he'd technically be classified as a hypocrite, possibly explained by Jim Terry, who supposedly said recently that Pancakes content runs out because, you know, most of it consists of talking about Jim Terry, and then when that runs out, then there's nothing left to cover, you know. So, you know, other people could be guilty of it too. But what happened? That's it. The only pattern I've noticed with Pancakes is he gets a little bit defensive and kind of resistant when, like, if you used some of his material. And, you know, in a general format, it kind of makes sense, right? And it can happen with anyone. But if there's been some kind of agreement made in the past where they were okay with it, and then suddenly they're not, and it's so abrupt, it's like, what's gone wrong? You know, Pancakes? What's gone wrong? Okay? An AET for a bit, you know, not the best, but, you know, you got something at least. Better than nothing, right? Think of Kurt Wadsworth, right? Well, actually, Kurt's probably got more teeth than what's displayed here. That's irrelevant. It's fine. The thing is, though, is, you know, why do you get resistant when certain materials footage is used? You know, do you have an answer?
Well, man, you know, it's just one of those times. It's one of those times where when people start using my footage, they could try and turn it all upside down. When it's turned all upside down, you know, how do you think it's gonna go? There's gonna be so much trouble. There's gonna be so much misunderstanding. I'm gonna be in the firing line. I'm just trying to solve this case one step at a time. I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm here to spread love and positivity. That's what we do. 24-hour streams. That's our goal for the future, man. We're a form of family. No backstabbing. Just pure positivity and pureness. That's what we're all about. People are misunderstanding us. It's just not how it works. And if content is used in the wrong way, it can be very slanderous. Man, it's just terrible. It's just not a good look. It's not a good outlook on life, man. Not at all.
I can understand that. You know, like with the situation with Sean Horlacher when it came to the Kenny Veach case, there was an agreement back then where, sure, you can use the footage, and it was like, okay, appreciate it. And then the abrupt change months on saying, no, you can't use it, and I'm going to copyright you for the previous stuff. And it's like, yeah, but an agreement was made. You kind of going back on yourself, which isn't exactly fair. What was replicated with Pancakes, okay? You get what I'm saying? Kind of what happened with Pancakes, where originally Pancakes said, you've got full VIP access. He said that to me. And that's not in like the terms of membership or any of that stuff. That was before membership existed. It was just in terms of footage, right? In terms of actual footage, like going to the farm, recording it, the grain shed, you know, that type of stuff. And it was like, well, that's good. That's really good. As for the actual footage used, short clips, right, for most part of it, to be fair, right? You know, you don't want to use all their footage. It's not right. You just use a little bit just to explain what you're talking about, because without footage, people could then start saying, yeah, but what are you exactly referring to? You know, it's just not as relevant. It's not as immersive, you know? So it's just one of those things. So you just use so much footage, right, to explain your point or to highlight a certain moment. That's what I did. And then because I used another piece, which was a very short amount of time, like 30 seconds or less in the last video or two, the back cow. Pancakes obviously saw that because he must have chimed in at the time. He wasn't doing any live videos at the time, so that's probably why he was watching mine, but it was still good that he was present. He was a bit negative, complaining again, bit of a meltdown, saying, I'm going to strike your channel. But to be honest, the problem was when he said he was going to strike me, I got a little bit confused. I don't know why, but the first thing that came to my head was Nintendo Wii Bowling. Like, you know, where it does and you get a strike and it says strike. And you get 3 in a row. It's is it a turkey? Oh, I'm not exactly practicing with that. My throat hasn't seen much action recently. That sounds a bit gay. Forget about that. You get the idea. I thought he was talking about bowling. So I found that bowling pin and bowling ball. And it seemed to work out quite well. Okay, so I guess a game of Nintendo Wii Bowling brought world peace temporarily. So, if there's any doubt, if in doubt, whip it out. You know? The Wii controller. That's what I was talking about. Let's have a Wii party. Not a Wii party behind the grain shed, Kurt. No, a Wii party where you get all your little controllers out and then you compete against each other. Who gets the highest score? Like that. But yeah, the situation seemed to be diffused afterwards, right? The only other observation I'll make, just point out of, it's one of those where it's like, well, no shit. I'm just saying it as an observation, and that is all. Is that recently, I think it was like in the short section of Pancake's videos where you had like the edits. Is it deep fake AI technology? I think it must be an app, because I saw the same thing with what happened in the Kenny Veach case when you had people doing it towards me, where you get a face of someone and map it onto somebody else, where it's a still photo which then turns into some kind of morphing, singing thing, or it's actual piece of video footage, movie clip, and you swap the faces, you know, with a friend onto a famous person, and it's kind of funny, right? And you saw that with Salty Pancake's videos. And just as an observation, that form of editing was very similar to Agent Jessica, that YouTube channel, because it's the same exact person, right? I don't know where I came across it. It must have been when I just randomly looked back on a past video, but there was like one video where it was saying that Pancakes isn't directly responsible for these fake accounts or these fake troll edits, but his contacts, the people who work for him or are in on it, like on the YouTube space, do it themselves, and Pancakes welcomes it. That's just what I heard from like one of those edited videos, not edited videos, but videos where it was summarizing what was supposedly going on and highlights from a past live stream. Okay, just wanted to bring that up because that was just the latest thing. But the positive is, for the most part of it, it's been diffused once again. Pancakes must have hung himself out on the washing line. I had to be careful how I worded that then, just in case someone misinterpreted it. But yeah, dried off, no longer soggy, so that's all good. Everybody give a round of cheers and applause to dry pancakes. I mean, some people might prefer soggy ones, but there you go. So I guess that's it for now. Looks like
man, I gotta go. Man. I gotta run off. You know, gotta do some errands, how you say it. And yeah, I will be doing a drive along. Yeah, drive along. It'll be so much fun. You'll be able to hear the background of all the cars mowing people down. And yeah, I may be talking, but I'll probably be focused on the road, holding that steering wheel, because, you know, man, I do not want to be crashing, man. If we're going to crash the car, this is going to be a very bad outcome. You know, the stream's going to die, literally. Yeah, I'm going to be able to see the blessings, super chats. Not at all. We don't want that, man.
Oh, it looks like we're on low battery. That doesn't look good. Does the video stop or not? I don't know. Anyway, I think that's it for now. Okay, just mainly to do with Candice Cooley and also Pancakes, as well as giving time for people just to share their own thoughts, opinions, and talk in general in the chat in itself, right? And if for whatever reason people still don't understand when it comes to the timers at the beginning of the video, just take in mind there are other channels which have timers and countdowns which are 30 to 40 minutes long. Mine are only 2 to 3 minutes most often, right? So it's not that bad. And also because people join late, to try and prevent them from missing out too much. If you just kind of add a timer in between, it kind of sets the pace so people aren't left behind as much as in the past, right? So that's it for now. Thanks for watching. And then we'll most likely return to the new year and then I'll cover it. But I don't know, unless there's like some breaking news in between where it's like, it's relevant, it needs to be covered right now, then maybe. But you get what I'm saying? This video shouldn't have been done, but it did cover an update by Candice Cooley, and it was a comparison to her past behaviour. So it had to be done. You can tell me off in the chat, right? Tell me off, tell me I'm a bad boy or whatever it is. Whip, belt me, whatever. I don't care, to be honest. But yeah, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. See you next time, whenever that is. And in advance, Happy New Year, or have a good Happy New Year Eve. New Year's Eve. Okay? Goodbye.